Hey everyone, just hopping on right now. How's everyone doing today? So again, like every Wednesday, talking about tech sales. This one, like the other one, is sponsored by RepView. They're kind of like one of the leading sources for tech sales compensation data. So these are top paying tech sales companies for the entry-level roles, the sales development representative role. So they've got a ton of information. You can see top-ranked companies based on how much they pay, company culture, and all that. But one common thing that people don't realize is what your compensation looks like. So you've got base salary. That's like what you get every month no matter what. Your OTE is how much you get if you hit 100% of your goal or your target. And then that's your base plus your commission. And then ceiling, this is like the highest reported number that someone had within that role. So actually, sorry, this is not the entry-level role. This is like SMB, so it's kind of like the next level role. Most things you see from Dell on here are inaccurate. Yeah, I mean, they're building their data set. Use multiple data points. So yeah, you're new here. Can you give some context? Yes. So I'm talking about tech sales or software sales. So it's like interesting career. You don't need any specific background or college degree or anything like that. And what you're doing is you're selling software and technology to other businesses. So as opposed to doing like B2C sales, business to consumer, like selling insurance or selling cars, you're selling business to business, you're selling fairly complex products. You're not the technical expert. You've got teams that are supporting you. And then, these processes, the sales process can take like months or years and sometimes, but you get bigger college or bigger deal sizes and all. Know anything about Vendition? Yeah, Vendition, they're one of the tech sales boot camps. I know that one. The one that I partner with two, is Pre-Hired and Pre-Sales Academy. Those are in my bio, but Vendition is a solid one. These are just the big names too, but numbers 100% accurate, 1,000% accurate. Yeah, like the numbers are very high within this role. Like when you get to the upper levels and like within these companies, you're basically earning more than doctors with a much better work-life balance. Definitely need college. Not necessarily, not anymore. I know people that are getting the entry-level roles without college degrees. That's where like the boot camp specifically can help. Can you do this remotely? Yeah, pretty much all the jobs are remote right now. Outside of the pandemic, you'd have some occasional travel, but pretty much remote. Do you have any boot camps that could excel me into this career? Yeah, Pre-Sales Academy and Pre-Hired. Those are two. Check them out in my bio. Feel free to message me. Happy to do that. Am I doing LinkedIn reviews? Not today. Maybe later in the week. This is for SDR. This is for SMB, so this would be like the next level potentially after SDR. Smaller names are much more common at 55K base, working remote. Yeah. What about Elevate? I haven't heard of Elevate. I can check them out though. I'd say what you need is a college degree and some way to relate your previous experience to sales. Yeah, it depends. So that's where like a boot camp or something really kind of fills that gap. These net or gross salaries. This would be before tax numbers. Rivian a buy. I'm a Tesla fan, but Rivian I think it's a solid car. All the reviews are good. These ceiling numbers are way too low for fan companies. Yeah, these are pretty much like the entry level like account executive roles. So you start off as a sales development representative. You're in that for like 12 to 24 months, depending on how good you are, and then you move into like a closing role. So this is like literally the entry level closing roles, and this is like basically like Google, for example. This would be like level 3 entry level role, and it's pretty much solid. What did I do before tech sales? How to make the transition? I studied biomedical engineering. I was planning on doing med school. I ended up going to a hardware test and measurement company. I was working in tech support, but I wasn't really too happy with like the overall career prospects. So I literally started to Google highest paying jobs, and I saw software sales frequently at the top. So I ended up trying to do an internal transfer to move up there. Join late. What boot camps do I recommend? Check it out in my bio. Pre-hired, pre-sales academy, 2 solid options. There's a lot of them out there, but those are 2 that I've like really thoroughly vetted. What's after SDR? After SDR, it's either inside sales representative, where you're like a closing role, but you're not really traveling and you're working with the field rep. And then the other one is account executive. And then you have different tiers of account executives. There's small and medium business. That's like the entry level. More accounts, smaller deal sizes. Then you've got like mid-market and then enterprise and then like key accounts, global accounts, strategic accounts. Where do you progress from here? Yeah, so where do you progress? There's, let me see, here's some questions. Oh yeah. Do you recommend, should you go back to college to get, eventually move back? I don't think so. Any tips for someone pursuing a computer engineering degree? Major, go to office hours, definitely. Take advantage of office hours. You're in sales, you have a lot of coworkers with college but no degree. Yep, very common. Where do you progress from here? You move up the ladder individually. You can stay as an individual rep. You're just moving on to bigger accounts, bigger deals. And there's also management. And then you can also move, laterally within the company if you decide you like marketing a bit more, if you decide you like business development, there's a lot of mobility. Difference in skills needed between an inside account manager and account executive. I would say that just the difference in skills is as an account executive or like a field rep, you're managing more meetings in person, so there's obviously the skills involved there. And, it's a different type of like networking, for example. And then also typically responsible more for like forecasting and being held accountable for that. So stay as a renewal AE or go SMB. I make more than SMB AEs. It kind of depends on what your overall goal. Think of your career as a marathon, not a sprint. So even if like the next move to get to where you eventually want to go is like a step down or a lateral, just keep that in mind. Can you move your head? I work for Gartner. You want to see if this is accurate? Oh yeah, Gartner says 66K base, 3K OTE, 170K ceiling. Let's see. Do you need a strong understanding of math or Excel for SDR? Nope. And they pretty much teach you everything like on the job. Microsoft, Google, Amazon are 500K to $1 million. Yes, take some serious, but not entry level. Yeah, I'm at Amazon. I'm going to be making probably close to 500 this year. But again, that's not entry level. It definitely takes experience, but this is basically the beginning of your career. In some of the prior lives, I talk about like the higher pay numbers, but you're in investment sales, make about 120, 150K, entry level 120K possible. Maybe if you can get into more of a closing role versus a sales development role, 120K is definitely possible. You're at 120% for the half. Let's go. Awesome, man. Get it. Currently working in customer success, hybrid sales role. Any opinion on customer success growth? It happens. Some people like more of the post-sales side, the customer success, customer development. So there's less roles to move up in that role. It's similar to like sales engineering. I used to be a sales engineer, but at the end of the day, it's what you enjoy. Currently working in tech sales for networking equipments. How do you move to cloud? So get a cert like the AWS Cloud Practitioner certification. Great one to go for. Are you behind if you take longer than a year to progress from BDR8? No, I would say the average, I think a lot of times is actually closer to 2 years. But if you kill it, you can definitely do it in like a year. I did it in 10 months actually. When did I go to college? Biomedical engineering. Tips on getting interviews for SDR roles, no prior sales experience, but professional experience. Get referrals. Referrals help a lot. And make sure you're applying for kind of roles that are more on the entry-level side. So sales development representative or business development representative. SE is sales engineer, the technical counterpart to the sales rep. They're responsible for knowing the technical details of the product. They're the ones that are like talking to the engineers and so on. They're doing the demos and stuff. Currently in SDR, it's a grind, man. Yeah, SDR is a grind. The entry level one, it's more high volume work. you're kind of doing more of the same, but it's supposed to be more of like an internship or an apprenticeship. Like you're learning like the key sales skills in like a relatively low pressure environment. And it's not meant to be a role that you're in, for the rest of your career. Where do you go from as SDR at Salesforce? If you can get promoted from SDR to inside sales or field sales at Salesforce, definitely do that. I always recommend try to at least get that internal promotion first before you jump companies. What kinds of internships should you apply for as a college student for this career path? Yeah, so you like inside. So for sales development representative, business development representative, the internship names change quite a bit, but it's like some variation of that. How accurate is Corporate Bro? It's pretty accurate. I've been following them for a while since they were only on YouTube. But how to prepare for SDR interview? Yeah, so a couple of key things to prepare for the interview. So understand, first of all, the company that you're interviewing at, like what are they selling? How do they fit within the market? You don't need to be an expert on the product, but you should know like what are the use cases, who are their competitors. Have a good story for why are you interested in working for that company? Why are you interested in being in sales, for example? Like what drives you? And of course, you're going to have the traditional behavioral type questions. So just interviewed at Google, 0% chance you get it. I mean, if you're actually getting interviewed, that's already a good chance. Like the percentage of people that, because I used to work at Google, the percentage of people that actually get to the interview stage is fairly low. So is CrowdStrike a good company to be SDR for? Yeah, CrowdStrike is super solid. One of my former sales directors that I worked with at one of the startups, she's there right now, and she said great things. This is for ISR. This is for SMB account executive. Solar greater than tech sales, questionable. What would it take to get to an entry-level closing role coming from a different industry? Boot camp. Yeah, I mean, that can definitely help. Referrals can definitely help too if you're trying to get to a closing role. And also you want to focus on companies that have an overlap in terms of your professional experience. So if you're coming from a different industry, chances are there's still a company that is selling software that either matches with your prior experience or you want to basically leverage stuff that you have. How hard is it to get hired at Amazon mid-market with current SaaS mid-market enterprise? It's not easy. All these roles are very competitive. So even if you get a referral, the chances of even getting to the interview stage are pretty low. But you can do it. If you want a referral to Amazon, let me know. I'll send it to you. Used to be a sales engineer. What are you now? Yeah, I was in technical support. Then I moved into a sales development rep. Then I moved into inside sales, and then I went to a cybersecurity startup as a sales engineer. And then I went from there to Google in a cloud sales role, in a closing role. And then from there, I went to another startup where I was a sales engineer again, and now I'm at Amazon on the sales side. But I'm covering like global strategic accounts. Currently in sales operations, you picked the wrong career. Sales ops is important, but yeah, you don't get the upside of sales, but you also don't get the stress either. What was my starting salary? So as like in the technical support side, it's back in like 2014. It was like 62,000. That was what I made there. SDR, you literally need a great personality. Yeah, I mean, great personality helps. Like they're looking for someone that's personable. They're looking for someone that's coachable, curious, willing to learn, can take feedback well. Let's see. Great questions. SCs are life, but yeah, sales engineers are super important. How do you feel about starting in sales in the winter when it's slower? They do a lot of hiring actually in Q4 because they want to get the sales team in place for the following year. So, getting started in winter, definitely not a bad thing. You were doing solar, definitely can make a killing with solar, except the gold mine will run. Yeah, that's the thing. Right now, I mean, only so many people are going to buy solar, but, and it's just a different type of sale. You can make a lot of money in car sales, for example, if you know what you're doing, or insurance sales. But at the end of the day, it's B2C sales, and the career growth is a little bit more flat in that area. Great questions, and I try to answer all of them. I'm gonna probably breeze through some of these just so we make sure all of them. Thoughts on pre-hard? Pre-hard, great. I know the team there. The program is, I think it's a little bit expensive because they do an income share agreement, but I've heard great things from it. I've looked at all the material. They're super fast, super responsive, great placement rates and a placement guarantee. So, have you heard of Paychecks? Yeah, I've used them at some of prior companies for managing pay stubs and stuff. Is tech outside of California worth working in? I just signed with a European company. I would say tech in the United States as a whole is definitely, you're going to get paid more in the U.S. than like Europe or Canada or stuff. But if you want to be in Europe, at the end of the day, you get more longer vacation days and all. Used to be an SE, now you're back in a closing role, never look back. Yeah, that's the thing. Like as an SE, I always felt like I was doing a lot of the work on the deals, and then like the sales rep gets like 3 times the commission or 4 times the commission. So, and you can always be as technical as you want as a sales rep. If anything, that's actually super beneficial because you could get pretty far with conversations with the customer. Best companies with internship opportunities. Pretty much like any of like the big guys, like any of these, for example, would be great for internships, but they don't have too many sales internships open. So don't be too picky for like your early career, I would say, but what you should be focusing on in like the first role and stuff is a medium to larger company that has like a solid sales training and development program, that has internal career mobility, that they actually do promote their sales development reps up. And then, then you can kind of go from there. What are good answers to what drives you? You say money, but I say money is always good. They will, they do want to say that sales reps are money driven, but you could also say, you enjoy solving problems, you enjoy collaborating, you enjoy building relationships. Those are great answers too. What do you think about IBM overall? They're one of like the giants. Like they're really trying to reinvent themselves right now, especially within cloud. I know they're investing a ton. And it's a little bit of an uphill battle. Whereas I did account strategies at some point in my tenure at Google. So I was a cloud sales and customer growth. I don't know if they still have that title anymore. When a company does a background check on your application, what does that actually entail? Pretty much what that entails is, they're checking like criminal records, but most importantly, they're actually checking like, are you lying about your college experience or your work experiences? Like they check those dates against your resume. They're really just trying to make sure that you're not like lying about your experience. Are any of these fully remote? Yeah, they're pretty much all fully remote right now. What do I think about the future of IBM? We'll see. They're in an interesting space. Let's see. Oh, great questions here. Sorry, all these like questions like refreshed here. So let me see. I've got to scroll back here real quick. Boom, boom, boom. Oh man, so many questions. Thanks everyone. Can you switch from food management to tech sales? Yep, you definitely can. Thoughts about pre-hire? Talked about that. Solid program. I should do resume reviews or a service to help word resumes. Yeah, I've gotten a lot of requests. To me, it's like a time thing. At the end of the day, I'm just limited on time, so that's why I don't really offer too many services or my own boot camp. I thought about doing that. Salespeople are currently operated. Yep, and that's what they look for. They want salespeople that are money driven, because what that means is you're going to follow the sales incentive plans that they sent out, and those incentive plans are basically designed so that way they want the sales reps to focus on selling specific products and specific services in a specific way, because they're trying to drive the valuations of the company. So very important. If you're not money driven, then you're not really going to be driven to crush quota and that type of stuff. What does the day on the job look like? It's going to be emails and phone calls and LinkedIn and reading industry news for the most part, and then presentations. Every graduate in business should get a BDR, SDR role. Yeah, it's a great role, especially for business majors, I think. Choosing between Unity and IBM and advice, I would probably lean towards Unity, but you got to look at like the overall package, compensation, benefits. But Unity is super solid. A couple of my coworkers from Google are there now. They had a great IPO. They're definitely on the upward in terms of growth projections. I think IBM, last time I checked, they're kind of like in that flat growth for now. Have you ever heard about Sales Bootcamp by Vendition? Yeah, I've heard about that one. That one's not bad. Can you do pre-hire without a bachelor's degree? Yep, you can definitely do it without a bachelor's degree. How many overlays do I have covering my large enterprise accounts? So I have 2 accounts right now, and each of them have like 15 reps or 15 individuals, not reps, covering them in different capacities. So, and then in terms of like overlays, there's a bunch of different sales specialists for each product. So there isn't like a set number. If you're making 80K as an SDR, could you shoot for 100K base as an AE at a different company? Yeah, I mean, absolutely. If you're applying at other companies, you don't have to. Your prior pay actually doesn't even make that big of a difference. Don't give a number ahead of time. Let them give the first number first. Get competing offers. How do you recommend someone with no experience getting an SDR job? Yeah, I go over this on my profile. So one of my pin posts, it shows specifically the types of roles that you're applying for on LinkedIn. If you go on my Discord, I have like a specific on the resources page, step-by-step guide in terms of like what to do. And then of course, sales boot camps are great if you want like pre-hired or pre-sales academy. Those are my bio. Those are great. Like if you really want like a coached and like mentored type approach where they're teaching you the basics, they're assigning you a specific mentor that's gonna be working you closely, and their goal literally is to get you hired into a tech sales job, and they have a guarantee, and you don't actually pay anything until you get a job. So I kind of like that model. Most important characteristics to be a great salesman: be curious, be customer centric, and be. I think consistency is really key. You just graduate and you're B2B, love it. Yeah, it's a rewarding job, at least for me. Any tips for someone starting in sales? Yeah, know how your performance is being measured very closely. Work with your sales manager, and have regular career check-ins. Stress you're not afraid to pick up the phone. Yeah. Some people are afraid to pick up the phone. They're like, they don't want to call. They only want to do emails, which is fine, or LinkedIn messages, but people still will pick up. Give me that Amazon referral. Yeah, happy to do it. Just message me. I'll do that referral. What made you move from Google Cloud, knowing Google is a top company? It was a variety of things. The offer was really good. My wife wanted to go from part-time to staying full-time at home. In hindsight, I probably should have stayed, but it worked out in the end. First sales job was at National Instruments, at least in tech sales. Tenure in my field. I graduated in 2013. Pretty much outside of like that initial tech support role for about like a year and a half, I was in tech sales for the entire time. Where were you for cybersecurity startup? I was in Austin, Texas. Pretty much been in Austin. Coming from pre-hired, wanting to start pre-hired ASAP. Yeah, if you want to start ASAP with pre-hired, they respond super quick. Like you'll probably, if you apply today, for example, you probably will get a response from them tomorrow, if not for sure like the next day. And they do rolling admissions, so you're able to get started quickly, which is cool. You don't have to like wait for like the next batch or anything. People think they can just get into sales. Sales isn't something you go to college and learn. Yeah, that's the thing. That's why like college degrees and stuff don't really matter too much for this, because it's more about like your personality, willingness to learn on the job. Do you recommend getting a cloud certificate or AWS? Yeah, certificates could definitely help. They're not as important for like sales roles, but if you want to get like the AWS Cloud Practitioner certification, that one's a great one. It's more of a business level certification for cloud that's relatively easy to get if you study. What's happening to my mustache? I need to shave. It's grown out a bit. So, do you know anyone who's come from background logistics brokerage? Actually, my parents used to have a trucking business, and that's what I actually helped them out with in college. I didn't actually do any internships. I helped them out with that. So, I guess I have that background. Applying to multiple jobs. Good luck. Yes, definitely. Good luck. And then just don't get discouraged. At the end of the day, applying for jobs is almost like a sales experience itself. It's like a numbers game, right? You're not going to get responses from any of them, but you put in enough work and you're consistent, you'll get something. Can you do a video on certifications you recommend for certain roles? Yeah, I have one video specifically for the cloud practitioner one. I guess I was going to screenshot this to make more videos of that. How do you figure out what tech field is for role is for me, you're new in the tech field, shadowing. If you're at a bigger company, definitely just network internally, reach out to individuals, ask them about their day, what they do, what they like, what they don't like, see if you could maybe shadow some of their meetings. Great way to do that. Microsoft is a sales team. How does the brand not sell itself? Yes, pretty much any of these companies have sales teams, because as good as the product is, when you're selling to very large companies, they're already going to have software, they're already going to have products in place. So even if there's a great product out there, you still have to get it in front of the customer. There's still like an evaluation process. They're still kind of going through all the details, making sure it's like a business fit. So that's the thing, and there's multiple stakeholders involved. So it's very different than like an iPhone, for example, where you have an individual consumer, they make the decision, it's pretty quick, it's transactional. Software sales, completely different ballgame. You ran a background check on myself. Most of the companies I work for don't show up. What do you do? Don't be too concerned about it, but if it's like super small companies, it's not too uncommon. You have 4 years of sales experience. Best way to make your resume stand out. Use numbers where you can. Try to make anything as like objective as possible. So revenue impact, deal sizes, all that kind of stuff, You sell cars right now. If you were me, how would you go about getting a big money tech sales job? Yeah, I would, start applying for those sales development representative roles. Look at my bio or my profile. I pinned the post, what to apply for. What do you think the minimum reps view score should be for a strong company? I would say probably like 80 would be the minimum. Current role is global account representative or senior global account representative. I have my LinkedIn in my bio if you want to connect. How long was I BDR? 10 months. Enjoying the live, VP of Tech Sales, and good advice so far. Thanks for joining, Shamrock. Did you go to college to get a job in tech sales? It's not really needed anymore. If you're already, for example, out of school for a while, it's very hard for me to recommend that anyone goes back to college for a bachelor's degree. To me, the cost is too high. Not even just the cost, but the opportunity cost is really high. Like it's taking like 4 years off of your career to do a degree. You have to be like really sure in terms of like what you want to study. Honestly, if it's like computer science, I probably wouldn't do it. How do vacations balance out with quota? Usually, you still earn your commission if you're taking time off. The difference is like if you do an extended amount of time off, like sometimes like if you do like paternity leave or something, you take 8 weeks off, they might put you on pass or on target, so you won't get any accelerators. But why do you have the Filipino flag in my bio? Because half my family is Filipino, so you have 2 kids and they're half Filipino, so a big part of my background. Am I on LinkedIn? Yes. Speaking of mustache, how's the dress code, hairstyles? Is the company they're not super strict. The difference is like if you're going to an on-site customer meeting, just like look relatively professional, but especially in the tech industry, people are pretty casual. So do you need experience in tech? No, you definitely don't need to know how to code and learn to build software. That's not the job. Would you recommend wearing to an SDR interview? Just wear like a polo or button down shirt. You definitely don't need to wear like a suit and tie. I mean, you can. It never hurts to dress up more, but how much is inbound versus outbound? Depends on the company and the role. What about technical sales role? Are they worth it? Yeah, I mean, they're worth it if that's what you enjoy. If you really enjoy getting deep into the weeds with the product and being technical, then sure. Secret of being successful as a BDR, consistency for sure. Being consistent, work back from your goal and figure out exactly how much activity you need to do every day, and then be consistent. How do accelerators work? Basically, once you pass your goal for the year or for the quarter, you earn commission at a higher rate, and those accelerators can vary. So like for me, for example, I have like 9x accelerators after I hit my quota. So if I get like essentially like 109% of my quota, it like doubles my commission and so on. How many hours a week do you work on average? About 40. Is it mostly cold calls? In the entry level roles, it's mostly cold calls, cold emails, but you're also working with leads too. It's overwhelming with so many tech roles. How do you know which one is for me? Yeah, shadowing, and then just asking people for sure. Connect with people on LinkedIn at the company and the role that you're interested in, and see if they can chat. How did I start out? So I started off on within technical support, and then kind of realized I wanted to make more money. Started learning about tech sales. Did an internal transfer, and then kind of went from there. You would love to join a live AEAM at Box here. Nice. Yeah, definitely would be, I do these every week. So if you want to hop on a live, you can always do a guest request or something. Happy to at least chat for a little bit. How'd you go from BDR to AE? What did that look like? Basically, it went from, I had my metrics that I was being measured against. I made it a goal to basically perform at the top of my peers, at the top of the leaderboards. I worked closely with the sales reps that I was passing leads to, so that way I could understand the entire sales cycle. And then of course you need to get buy-in from your manager and also from the sales manager that you would get moved into. Do you recommend to applying in the same company multiple times? Yeah, sure. Don't apply to too many at the same company, because they want you don't want to necessarily look like you're just applying for any role, for example. But if they're relevant and related, that's good. Thoughts on pivoting from account strategist at entry level at Google to PM? So that could be a tough move. So at Google, I was essentially entry level sales, level 3, and they have a process to go from non-tech to product manager, but it's actually fairly difficult. You need to have a sponsor that's a product manager. You need to have sponsorship from the product manager group leader. It can take a year or longer to transition. You're going to have to understand coding, because there's going to be a coding interview aspect. So you have to pass that Google coding bar. And there aren't too many product manager openings, especially at the entry level. Most of them are level 4, level 5. And you have to remember, the engineering levels are one lower. So a level 4 engineering level is equal to a level 5 non-engineering. So kind of, a few things you got to go through to pivot to product manager. But if you want to do it, you definitely could do it. I would say it's probably going to take, if you're level 3, it's probably going to take 2 to 3 years at a minimum to kind of do that. Next step in my career, not too sure. I'm doing really well in this role. A lot of career growth within Amazon, but yeah. Is it easier if you have dev blockchain experience to break into the field? Yeah, they have, that experience can definitely be related to, there's actually blockchain or companies that sell blockchain solutions, even like Google, Microsoft, Amazon. Actually, I don't know if Google does, but I know Microsoft and Amazon, they have blockchain products. Do I recommend any good sales podcasts? There's a few that I just recently did some guest sessions on. Send me a message. I'll shoot you what the links are. I gotta link them in my bio too. Interview question: how do you work with AEs that find interest in other roles? Do you ever outsource sales reps for anything? Probably not, but I'm curious. Yeah, actually, when I was at Google, for example, they actually outsourced the sales development role for the most part to contractors, and then the closing roles and stuff were full-time employees. How long did it take to make what you make money? For me to get to my level at this high enterprise level, it was about 6 years, but I jumped around strategically to do it faster. And normally, if I had stayed at one company, it probably would be 10 years or something. But again, it's a marathon, not a sprint. Is cold call emailing easy? It's definitely hard at first, but it gets easier. Tech certs that I would recommend starting out. Any of the cloud ones, but it depends on what you're interested in. If it's cloud or cybersecurity. But cloud practitioner from AWS is a good starting one. Do I mentor? I I don't really do any like formal mentorships. If you're, feel free to message me. I respond to pretty much like every DM. This last week's been like a crapshoot for me, so that's why I haven't posted anything. But I'm getting back in the swing of things. How much do I make on target? It's like 350, and then with accelerators this year, I'm going to be clearing 500 or a little bit over. What do you think? Would PM experience a different field transfer over to tech? Yeah, absolutely. I think a lot of aspects of product management carry over, especially just being customer centric. Managing. Obviously it's not a complete translation, but I would say a lot of the skills do translate over. How do you get started? You can get started by, if you have literally no tech background or college degree or anything, look at like one of the tech sales boot camps. That could be a great way. Pre-hired, pre-sales academy. At least, you can check it out, put your info, do an interview session. Follow me on our Discord. You can ask questions there too. And I've got like resources posted on there. That's free. What state am I in? I'm in Illinois, but and I was making similar amount of money in Texas, so I've never worked in California. Told I have a job to do, but to do a meet and greet with the global BDR director, prepare for an interview. Yes. Basically, the BDR director is going to want to just feel you out, understand your intentions, because a lot of like hiring for like these entry level roles, it's all like soft skills that they're trying to evaluate. They're trying to evaluate, do you have what it takes to potentially be a great sales rep? Because when they're hiring BDRs and SDRs, for the most part, they're hiring their future sales reps. Like a lot of companies want to hire internally. That's the best way to kind of guarantee that you have quality candidates. Do you recommend Coursera? Yeah, Coursera is solid. Reason you asked about mentorship is you realize we're in the same city. Yeah, if you're in the same city, send me a message. Happy to at least grab coffee or something. I've done that for a few people in the Chicago area. Is your tax state based off of Illinois or Texas? So right now it's based off of Illinois, even though everything's remote. They said I actually didn't even have to move for it, but it's based in Illinois for sure. So paying those Illinois state income taxes. Does your company have a president's club? Yeah, they do. Where should you look for jobs? LinkedIn. I look at my recent video that I pinned. Thoughts of tech sales in Miami. Miami is good. There's not as many roles out there just because Florida itself tends to be like a smaller territory. Usually it's West Coast, Central, and East Coast. So East Coast, a lot of the roles are like around like New York, for example. Central, it's like either Chicago or Texas, and then West Coast, will be mainly, California, and so on. But then there's a bunch of roles in between, and you have smaller territories. What's typically after inside sales rep as a rep role? Typically what's after that is moving into an inside sales rep role, or field sales rep role, depending on the company's career growth tracks. BDR versus STR, for the most part, they're the same. Best resource for improving sales skills. I think the best resource is actually finding like a strong mentor, and then within the company. So like mentor like shadow some of like the more senior sales reps, the best reps, and see what you can learn from them. I think that's probably going to be one of the best ways. Another good way to improve is if you want to work on like public speaking, Toastmasters is a great option. So Toastmasters, they have chapters in pretty much like every major city. And it's a great way to practice your speaking and presentation skills and just to get you more comfortable with it. How do I get my leads? I actually don't get any leads right now. I just have 2 very large accounts. I work with Amazon Web Services. Is keeping up with quota difficult? I think like as long as you are consistent, I don't think it's terribly difficult to hit quota for the most part. It's all a numbers game at the end of the day. Like you basically take your quota, you figure out how many deals you need to close, how many demos, for example, get converted to deals, how many meetings get converted to demos, how many contacts get converted into meetings, and then you just have to kind of back that up. make and hold yourself accountable to like those daily metrics, and then it's a numbers day at the end of the day. What's my OTE? 350. Am I happy with my job? You've had retail sales and they were rough. Yeah, there's aspects that I don't enjoy, but overall, I think a job at the end of the day is going to be a job, right? That's why they're paying you, because most people wouldn't do it for free. But compared to other things, I think I've done other jobs. I used to be like a certified nursing assistant. I've done restaurant, and by far it's a totally different work-life balance. And how do you start if you have no experience in tech but have sales experience? You can pretty much directly apply for sales development rep roles. Build like a strong resume first, and then look at my pinned video. It tells you exactly what to search for on LinkedIn, the types of roles, the types of companies. Does Apple have a tech sales team? They do. One of my former coworkers, he worked at Apple, I think went to work for Apple for like 2 years, because they have sales teams that cover like selling their laptops and software to like larger institutions or like to like schools and stuff. Give us an example of a salesperson who wasn't consistent. Yeah, an example would be, and this was a good one at the prior startup that I was at, this rep, he was only purely focused on like landing this one really big deal, and he was like neglecting kind of like filling out the rest of his pipeline. And then what would happen is this deal just kept on getting pushed, and then when you put all your eggs in one basket, if you don't deliver, it's not great. And then this was a fast-moving, high-growth startup, so they didn't really have too much time to wait. So because he wasn't really building his pipeline, and forecasting wasn't great, I think he ended up getting fired. I think like a year and a half or 2 years into it, because he hadn't really closed the deal yet. They gave him quite a bit of time. Does AWS hire SDRs? They do, but not too many. Do you have to manage the post-sales relationship? In cloud, you do, because you don't get comped on signed deals. I mean, you do get a bonus, but you get based on cloud consumption. So, there are customer success teams that you're working with, but you do have to basically kind of work with the customer. You're still developing that relationship just to make sure that they're getting the support that they need to get onto the platform. Can I do LinkedIn reviews again? Maybe I'll do it tomorrow or the next day. Just got promoted from SDR to AE. Congrats. Advice. Yes. Advice, is, remember your roots. Be nice to the SDRs. You've known exactly how it was. And then ask a lot of questions. Work with like the senior reps. You want to learn like the best practices from them, because what works at one company doesn't necessarily work at another sometimes. So, and then make sure you're working very closely with your manager, understand what the expectations are, and then also try to map out like what's your next step from AE. Like, do you want to go down the management path? Do you want to go down into higher level roles? And if so, like identify those goals pretty early on, so that way you can kind of track your progress against it. So that way, you keep that upward career trajectory. How long does it take to get from an SDR role to account executive? It depends on a few factors. It depends on your performance. It depends on how fast the company is growing. It depends on headcount. I was able to make the move in like 10 months, which is on the fast side. Typical is probably like a year and a half to 2 years, but even in some cases, 3 years. Am I on LinkedIn? Yes. It's in my bio. Do you need a network in order to sell? You do not. It does help though, especially at like the bigger levels, but how hard would it be to transition from fine dining server to tech sales? There'll be a little of a learning curve, but as like a server, for example, I imagine you're still customer centric. You're used to with like a high volume workload, multitasking. Startup or big tech? I think big tech for sure if it's like entry level roles. Startups are great in my experience if you know exactly what you're doing. You're coming at like a higher level role and you hit the ground running. Like, don't expect a ton of like training and support and enablement for the most part. What qualities do you see consistently in successful BDRs, AEs? Yes, so consistency, curiosity, someone that's like a team player, someone that's coachable. That's a big one. Should one looked into LinkedIn optimization? I did it. I paid for it. And I think it helped just actually make my resume consistent. I used Resume Assassin. There's a few different services. Have you heard of Dealer Socket? Yeah, Dealer Socket, I think they provide software that provide all of like the forms and everything that you would use when you're buying a car. Why did I get started in tech sales? Honestly, got started in tech sales because I wanted to make a lot of money, and I didn't want to go back to school for anything. Do you recommend getting into cloud sales? I recommend it. It's a booming industry. Like, there's a lot of openings at the big guys, but even outside of these, if you want to get into cloud, but you're not getting any traction with these companies, each of these companies, they sell a ton through partners. So partners, they also sell cloud services, and they also do like implementation. So if you want to identify like what those companies are, you can literally search, for example, like Amazon Web Services Partner Network, and they literally give you like a list of the companies, and you can apply directly to those companies too. Can you start at 18? Yeah, there's no age restrictions for the most part. GCP, Azure, Amazon. So to me, like the ordering is Amazon, Azure, GCP, and that's just based on the product offering, availability, uptime, and it kind of matches what Gartner says. Is tech sales similar to medical device sales? Yes and no. Medical device sales, for the most part, you're selling to doctors and surgeons, right? Versus in tech sales, you're selling to businesses, and there's multiple people that are involved in that process. What day do I do the lives? Only Wednesday, right? Yeah, I have them scheduled on Wednesday. You can pre-register on them just so you get a pop-up. It's like every Wednesday at 9 p.m. And I sometimes occasionally I'll hop on randomly, but that's just what I've committed to. New CS grad here. Where do you suggest you start? Start at like if it's computer science, it depends on what you're interested in, but that's going to make it easier for you to get into some of these bigger companies. If you have a computer science background, you might even be a good fit for like doing like inside sales engineer. So it's kind of a hybrid of being able to use your technical background, but then still building that business acumen. Always have 2x in the pipeline for a year versus quota. Invest time in identifying deals in future years. Yes, exactly. I think one of the things that the less successful reps do is they're too focused on the next quarter and they're not focused on the next year. You pretty much have to be consistent. That's when I talk about like consistency in your activity. Like you can't stop prospecting. You can't stop filling out your pipeline with new deals. Because at the end of the day, it's a numbers game and it's an activity game. So, I mean, it's great to land big deals and whales, but I've seen people where they rely on that too much, and once they land it, literally the pipeline's empty. Best way to get into a TPM role at Google, referral is pretty much key for sure, and that only marginally helps your chances, but you definitely want to get a referral. Know anyone who transitioned from industrial laundry B2B to tech sales? I can't say I've heard about that one specifically, but any B2B experience for sure is going to help you. How often do you see salespeople go off and start their own business? Not too often. I've seen some sales reps actually, specifically in like Europe, like they went and they started their own reseller business, but not too often. You're in IT delivery. You want to move into sales. Any tips? Yeah, IT background. It's easy. I think the easier transition is to do more of the technical sales roles versus just like the straight up sales role. How old are you? I'm 31. Can you make a video on how to build up your resume? Great question. I can definitely do that. If you have also other questions that you want me to do videos on, you can. I think they still have the feature on TikTok on my profile where you can do Q&A and ask that. Cloud versus security sales. I'm partial to cloud, but I've done security. Both have a ton of growth potential too. Cloud has a little bit bigger of a market. Security is top of mind right now for everyone. Who is Gartner? And the name you said, Gartner, they're an organization, but they basically provide like ratings and stuff for software in different categories, and they kind of like rate vendors. They're like the resource that like a business professional would use if for example, they know they want to start using the cloud, but they're not sure like how these different vendors rank against each other. That's what they do. What cert college degree do you need to get started? You know, not really too much. Like, don't go back to college if you've already like left or anything like that. If you have like literally no like tech background and like not sure where to get started, or like you just want like a really guided hands-on experience, that's where doing like pre-hired sales boot camp is a great fit. Cloud practitioner, worth it to build track experience? Yeah, I think it's worth it. I mean, it's a relatively low effort exam. It's only like an hour long. It's all multiple choice. You can definitely study it in a weekend and get it. What is this earning call? This is sales. This is sales compensation from RepView for small and medium business sales reps. So kind of more on the entry level side. Not quite the entry level role, but like the next role above that. Can you get a sales engineering job straight out of college? You can. So you'll be looking for like associate sales engineer roles or inside sales engineer roles. Google has like a technical residency program specifically for new grads that want to get into like the technical part of the sales process. If you have a few years of sales experience in different industry, can you get into a non-entry level role? You can, potentially, if it's related to the role, but if you have prior sales experience, I don't think of it as like too much of a step down to start in like the entry level tech sales role, because you're still gonna be learning a ton, and if anything, it's gonna make you that much better of like the next level closing role. Where would you show a referral during an application? So usually on the application they'll ask for it, sometimes at the company, but at places like Google and Amazon, for example, you have to find someone who's going to give you the referral. There's an internal system that we submit you with your resume and the position, and then you're able to apply then. Over 20 years sales experience, B2B, you want to move into tech sales. Should you start tech SDR role or higher? I would say 20 years, start higher, B2B, and look for tech companies that either sell into the space that you were previously in, so like those would be the target customers, or because you want to like leverage some of your background so you're not just starting from scratch. Is it better to go back to school to get a CS degree or take Coursera or Udemy? I wouldn't. It's definitely hard to say to kind of like go back. A great program is for computer science is freecodecamp.org. It's a completely free. I think it's like a 1,200-hour program it's self-paced, and then they have an aspect where you can partner with nonprofits to build out your project portfolio. So check that out. How did I land my first role? I landed my first role by just grinding out interviews and applications. I think I had to apply to like 70 different jobs. This was like right out of college. I think I only got like 3 interviews, and then ended up like going with one of the companies. Have you heard of AlphaSense? They sound familiar. I'm not super in depth. There's so many tech companies now. It's insane. You have an IT background, IT sales. You want to get into cloud sales, first role. Yeah, with IT background, you can look at some of the more technical roles. So there's like solutions architects, cloud architects. Those Google Cloud numbers are not accurate. Yeah, these are entry level roles. These are pretty much like this would be like level 3 at Google, for example. Which for me, when I was at Google level 3, it was actually about accurate. You had like 70,000 base, and then it was like a 40% of my base was commission, and then the rest was like stock. I was at higher. I think my OTE with stock and bonus, everything was like 100. It was 180,000 actually the first year, but that's because they gave me like a $50,000 sign-on bonus, and then the second year it was going to be like 135. So, thoughts on CDW? Yeah, they're one of like the top resellers. So, do you need experience? No. Why do you look different from my profile picture? Age, I guess. It's funny. It goes by so quickly, but that profile picture is actually probably when I first started 6 years ago. So I probably need to maybe take a new one. Good base level for entry-level tech sales. You have 40 to 60,000 base. What is your quota? Right now, my quota is about 90 million for the year. Typical number of meetings booked a month for a new BDR. I think typically for like a new BDR, it's like one meeting. I would say it really depends on the product. Some products are more transactional than others, and those you're going to have more meetings versus less meetings. So it's hard to say, but a typical activity number would be 20 to 40 outreaches per day or leads worked and so on. Anytime to start interviewing in the Bay Area for SDR roles, they're offering 50 to 55K. It's good. Yeah, I'd say 55K is like on the lower end. Most of the offers that I see for SDRs are like 60 to 90,000. But, don't get too caught up with the money initially. Build that experience. Your pay is going to go up pretty quickly. Best sales space to be in right now. Cloud is I think great right now, and cybersecurity. You're a tech recruiter right now. Would that be a good thing to mention in an interview? Sure. I mean, recruiters, that's like essentially a sales role itself. What's my quota to OTE ratio? It's pretty small. So in terms of like at the percent, it's like 0.02% or whatever is what I earn, something like that. How do you manage transition between companies with them without worried that you'll leave after 1 year? Eventually, at the end of the day, it's like it's a business transaction. If the role's not working for you and there's a better role that comes along, don't stay just for the sake of staying. I've moved around, but actually all of the roles that I've gotten pretty much after the entry level ones were ones that were pitched to me from that company, and then I ended up accepting their offer. So if they didn't see a problem reaching out to me, I don't think you really need to worry about it. Been doing B2B sales for 2.5 years, but interested in tech sales. What title? Look at my recent video in terms of the title, but business development representative, sales development representative. CrowdStrike is a solid company. Octa is a solid company. Can one transition from being an insurance broker to software sales? Yeah, absolutely. One of the best sales reps that I knew at the last company I was at, he transitioned from running his own restaurant food truck for 6 years, and then he went into sales. So, do you recommend working for Octa? The company itself is solid. I tend not to put too much weight on the company. I like to evaluate like the role itself, because experiences could vary quite a bit. Thoughts on Mandiant, previously FireEye. Yeah, they're well regarded within the security space. Thanks for the content. You're about to score a dream AE job. That's awesome. That's congrats, man. Happy to help. How do you get into tech sales? The entry level role, sales development representative, business development representative. I've got videos on how to apply for those roles, what to look for. I have my free Discord community with some resources in there. Check that out. And of course, sales boot camps. Like if you want to like hit the ground running and you want to get into like this role for sure in like 2 to 3 months, pre-hired is actually really good for that. You look tired. How long have I been on live? Been on there it's coming up to the hour, so talking nonstop is definitely tiring on this. I'll be closing off soon. Is my commission stock options? No, my commission is cash, and then you also still get stock too. Have I ever felt super burned out in my career? Yeah, absolutely. I felt burned out actually in like the tech support role. That was kind of a burnout. Thoughts on PitchBook? Not bad. Does it look bad if you apply for both SDR roles and AE roles at the same company? Yeah. I mean, not necessarily bad, but they're probably wondering like, why are you applying for both of these roles? How do you explain to my parents that tech sales is not the slimy pyramid scale? Yeah. So you can explain it. Tech sales is literally, it's a corporate job role. It's no more slimy than like being in like marketing or, product management or something like that. It's just another job on the corporate ladder. Why am I sharing all this information? I just like to, I'm just giving back. I learned all of this the hard way. First generation college student. I didn't really have any connections in the tech industry. So I found my way. I joined a questionable startup. So I learned exactly kind of like what to look for, and I got some pretty interesting experiences being able to work at like a bunch of different companies in different capacities, small startups, big companies like Google, Amazon, more sales roles, sales engineering roles too. So don't waste your time stressed out building someone else's dream. Build your own business. I mean, yeah, but the thing is also not everyone necessarily wants to build a business. So that's okay. Like if they can get a consistent $250,000 a year with full benefits, then work 40 hours a week and not have to worry about it. For some people that's a good fit. Certainly not going to be as wealthy as if you start your own tech startup and then get it acquired for $100 million or something. But different strokes for everyone. You have an AWS informational call tomorrow. Anything you'd recommend? Yeah, make sure you have got a good answer for like why are you interested in Amazon and AWS, what you know about cloud. Am I getting the Tesla Plaid? Plan is to get the Cybertruck tri-motor. I have that one. Pre-ordered. You applied for the ADR role, and they moved me interviewing for AE role after experience. Yeah, that's awesome. Oftentimes they'll do that. Sometimes like you'll apply for a role, and they'll realize you're a better fit for another role within the company. What would you consider in deciding between Proofpoint and FireEye? I would strongly consider the offers themselves, the career progression, the sales enablement that you're going to get. How do you keep your spirits up when in the SDR role you're scared of getting burnt out? I think the way that you keep your spirits up is you keep the prize in mind. So the prize is getting promoted into a closing role. So be proactive. Track your progress on a monthly basis in terms of are you learning the skills that you need to be successful in that role? Map out your goal, work closely with your manager, and then just try to get consistent feedback. Like, are you on the right track? Make a goal yourself. Say like you want to get promoted, let's say within the next 12 months. Tell your manager that. Ask them what do you need to do and hold them accountable. That's a great way to build out burnout. The people that burn out, in my experience, are the ones that kind of start to spin their wheels, and then they're stuck at doing the same role for years. Do you think it's possible for SDR manager to transition back to a closing role? It is possible. I've seen people do that because, for example, it's pretty hard to go from an SDR manager to like an enterprise sales manager. So I've seen SDR managers go into individual contributor roles again because like an enterprise sales role, even because they want to become a manager at that level. Are 40-hour weeks your normal week? Yeah, definitely the normal weeks. Company is starting me at BDR, but that next step is SDR, inside sales. Is that typical? Don't get too caught up on the title, but that is a pretty typical move going from like BDR to inside sales, for example. What is tech sales, cybersecurity stuff? Tech sales there's so many different tech sales companies. It could be cloud, cybersecurity, financial services, software. Basically, it's like any software for the most part, or tech. Do I ever see myself moving to management, jumping to AE roles for higher pay? So, I'm already at like the highest tier AE role. If I went into management, my pay would actually stay the same and potentially be lower because your quota is spread out over multiple reps versus just you individually. So, I think eventually I would move into management, but, if you're a great individual rep, you're going to make more money as an individual rep versus a manager. How much should you know about the product during interviews and applications? You should know at a high level what the product does, what's the product market fit, who are the competitors. Do you know anything about AWS workforce programs? Yeah, I think those are the programs where they can help hourly employees move into corporate roles. So they do a lot of support there. Do you travel a lot? Can you make $250 as an inside sales rep? 250 might be tough, but pretty much all the roles are remote right now, so something to keep in mind. Thanks for your help. Happy to do that. Is unlimited PTO a real thing? Not really. It's more so like they're just not tracking it. At the end of the day, you still gotta get your job done. I'm not actually a fan of unlimited PTO because it sometimes people are afraid of taking too much PTO, and it's like if you have it given to you and you have a specific number of days, you're not going to feel guilty taking it. And then also, if you switch jobs, if you have unlimited PTO, you're not going to get paid out on remaining PTO because it's unlimited. How long did it take to get started? You know, if you, for example, if you do like the pre-hired program, you can literally get started probably tomorrow. They respond super fast. What's a good question to ask the recruiter at AWS? You know, what are some of the traits that some of the successful reps in the past have done? What's the history of this territory? Is this a new territory, backfill territory? What do you think about SAP? They're one of the kind of the legacy players, but obviously great footprint, and they are innovating too. All right, guys. As you can tell, I am exhausted. Normally, I only need an hour. You got an extra 10 bonus minutes. So I'm gonna post this on YouTube if you want to rewatch it. Link. I just finally started posting these videos. I did the last one on YouTube. I've got a backlog of, I don't know, like 50 lives or something. I'm still deciding if I'm gonna post those up or not. But if you guys have any other questions, feel free to message me, Instagram, TikTok. You know, follow me on Instagram if you want. If you want to do a boot camp, check out Pre-Hired. It's in my bio. Happy to tell you more about it too. I've done a few videos on it. Pre-Sales Academy as well. And then this one, of course, was sponsored by RepView, my preferred source for tech sales compensation data. Yeah, happy to help. I mean, this is a whole career that most people don't realize. I didn't even realize this was a career in college. I thought it was like car sales and stuff. But you know, it's a fun career if you like people, relationship building, problem solving, and you know, working with cool tech, and you like getting visibility, and you getting paid for your performance. It's fun. But thanks everyone. Have a great night. Take it easy.